Well, today we have a lesson out of Matthew 15, verses 21 through 28. It's a very difficult story. As a matter of fact, it's so difficult that I was talking to my mentor about it this past week, and because I've always seen it as something difficult to understand. And he said, this guy's been doing this for 50 years. Okay? He says, I don't think I've ever preached on that one. I said, what? He goes, yeah. And I looked at some commentaries, and believe it or not, some commentaries skip right over it. They don't want to deal with it. But we're going to deal with it. You know why? Because I have no fear. I don't. I want to know, finally, I want to get something out of this. So I dove into it, talked to people, read some stuff, and prayed. Now, I'm going to read to this week. I'm going to read my NIV version because this is one of the times I like the way it reads better. So bear with me. It'll be different than what you got. But this is like the faith of the Canaanite woman. Now, as kind of a setup, Canaan is outside of Palestine. So Canaan is outside of Jewish territory. They are the Gentiles. And Sidon and Tyre, where he's going, are reputed to be not very healthy place for a Jew to go. So, Jesus has just talked about the clean and the unclean before fighting with the Pharisees about it. And we go from that. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him crying out, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is suffering terribly from demon possession. Jesus did not answer her a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, send her away, for she keeps crying out after us. And he answered, I was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel. The woman came and knelt before him. Lord, help me, she said. He replied, it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Yes, Lord, she said, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Then Jesus answered, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed from that very hour. This has a very non-Jesus tone to it. The woman comes up in dire situation. She knows of Jesus. She's heard of Jesus. She knows he can heal by touch. She knows what she's going after. She knows what's in store, what is available to her. Jesus goes, no, I was sent here for the people of Israel, honey. No, you're a Canaanite. And she says, and then he said, I can't take away the children's bread and give it to the dogs. And I think it kind of made her a little bit upset, going, hey, even the dogs get the scraps off the table. I'm fine with that. I'll take the scraps off the floor. And he's, all right, you got me. Your faith healed you. And you can see now why a lot of people skip over this. But I think it's great because the more you look into it, first of all, let's make some things straight here. The children he's talking about are, of course, the lost sheep of Israel. That's what he was sent for. That's the children, he says. He's talking about. And the dogs. Now in the Greek, and you'll hear me go a lot to the original Greek because there's already little translation tweaks in there. And this is one. He's not just saying dogs like the wild dogs out in the desert. He's talking about, it's actually Greek for little dogs, as in pets. He's talking about their pets, or the children's little pet dogs. You know, he's not going to give that to them. He's going to give it to the children. Now, the dog reference, meaning a pet, was that the gospel was to be given first to the Jews. Now, the woman understands this. She knows who she is. She knows where she's from. She knows what's going on. But he has come into our country, and this is my chance to get my daughter healed. She understood Jesus' implication and was willing to settle for the table scraps, the crumbs. And Jesus rewarded her faith with the miraculous healing. Now let's look into it a little further with the background. This second withdrawal, it's the second time Jesus, last week Jesus withdrew, or the week before he withdrew and ended up being the feeding of 5,000 because he went away and they followed him. All right, remember that? This second time, he's withdrawing, which is again following John the Baptist's death. And this new further rejection by the leaders of the Church of Israel. Right before that, talking about the clean and unclean. He's been, they're arguing about it. They want everybody to live by that Mosaic law. He's going, no, that's okay, but you don't have to. So he just goes, I got to go. I'm tired. You did a lot of healing. And this second withdrawal, Jesus actually leaves the country. Went to Tyre and Sidon, the Gentiles. And he wants to go there to stay some time in seclusion. He's wanting to go into seclusion. We got to get away. And this was interrupted, his seclusion gets interrupted by this Canaanite woman. Now, the disciples say, you got to get rid of her. She keeps crying after us. She wasn't taking no for an answer. Crying after us, I could see her crying, following them, saying, please, please, please. And he keeps saying, no, I can't do it. But please, you can. No, I can't do it. I ain't going to throw it to the dogs. Now, Jesus earlier had told Peter to keep his teachings, the gospel, within their own house, within the Jews. Do not go to the Gentiles. Yet later he sends Paul. That was the kind of conflict. Paul was the kind of person that would take it. If Jesus had told Peter and them to go, they could have been killed. They could have been just totally rejected. It would have stopped right then. Because they would have gone in there as disciples, as preachers, and started, hey, let me tell you something. Hey, do you know Jesus? Hey, you want to be saved? They would have died. Jesus knew better than that. So he told him to stay out of there. This right here, this passage is the only known occasion where Jesus himself went outside of Palestine. He broke his own rule. Broke his own rule to get into seclusion. So it's the only known time he goes out. Now remember, keep in mind, children are Jews, dogs are Gentiles. Jesus' whole attitude, his whole thing here is not mean like it sounds. It can't be, right? We know Jesus. We're not going to skip this because we can't explain the fact that that's a pretty rude thing to say to a woman who wants her child healed. Jesus. So that can't be it, can it? No, it can't. So what is it? He's a very good teacher. And he uses many ways to teach. Jesus' attitude here was intended to test the woman's faith, which was rewarded again with a miraculous healing. Jesus is not angry with her or annoyed with her. He's trying to teach the disciples, us, a valuable lesson. Now, you guys can hang on to all that Jewish stuff. This Gentile has enough faith to heal, to get her daughter healed. That's faith. Do you guys have enough? Do you disciples have enough of that kind of faith? Who knows? Maybe her going to the Jewish rabbi, that may have gotten her in a lot of trouble with her people. Seems like a logical thing, if they're against each other. Fraternization, So she's taking a chance. But he's not angry. He's testing her faith and giving a lesson. The woman knew, even a Gentile, she knew what could be hers through Jesus. She knows that. And she fights for it. She stands for it. Jesus, what would have happened if she'd have given up? She said, yeah, fine. Call me a dog. Even the dogs get the crumbs. Throw me a piece. He did. She fought for it. And she became the number one first illustration of millions into billions of Gentiles and Protestants just like us who would later be blessed by Jesus. That Canaanite woman who stood up to him knew her faith. Her faith was strong. She knew it wasn't just Jesus. There was something else to it. Even though he knew he wouldn't do it, she understood. I know, Rabbi, I don't want you to break your own laws, but I know. Just throw me a crumb. I'll be content with the table scrap. And Jesus begins to commend Gentile belief. Now, why is he the one going in there? Why did he tell Peter and them not to? And then he goes in there, breaks his own rule, and ends up doing a healing anyway. Thereby spreading the word. She's going to tell people. And it ends up being us sitting here now. Pretty cool, isn't it? But why do you have to be so nasty to her? I know some of you are thinking, yeah, he did that and he did that. But why do you have to talk to her like that, man? Come on. You talked to my mom like that when I was a kid. You ain't going to get up. You know, why? Because the same reason he didn't want Peter and him going, because it can't be a show. You can't go in going, hey, look what we got. Come on to the tent, we're having a revival. Can't do that. But Jesus can. But is he going to go in there and do the same thing? No. What's he going to do? He's going to go in there and say, I'm a Jewish rabbi, honey. I can't touch you. I can't do anything for you. I came here to be in seclusion. He knew. He knew her faith when she walked up there. He knew he could feel it when she walked up there. He tested her and taught a lesson. Now, he is not going to go in there and cheapen his healings and his message. He's not going to go in there and cheapen it by just throwing miracles willy-nilly at people and going, oh, he'll. No. Reluctance. A reluctant hero. How much do we love a reluctant hero? Boy, I don't want to do this. I can't do this, but I said, you're just so strong. Okay, I will. Are there some laws we need to break for morality? I think in this case, Jesus broke one of his own to get it going. To start it with her. And if he could reach out and accept the faith of a Canaanite woman, won't he reach out to anyone of us, to anyone around, to anyone in the area? Won't he reach out? Of course he will. What's one way for him to do it? All of us. You spread it, you don't talk about it, you show it. Test their faith by showing it. See if they say it. He will. He will provide a miracle. He might not. He might argue with you about it. But it can be done. Now, the Canaanite woman, you know, the whole lesson here is that she's not a Jew. It's ready to be put out. She's a Gentile. But she already knows. She already believes. Has enough faith to know. Where did that come from? Where did she hear that? Jesus told all the other guys, stay in here, Palestine area, Jewish area. How does she have enough faith to know this? Come being a Gentile. To even find him and harass him until he sees that her faith is strong, or that he's convinced that her faith is strong. Well, you got to look back and see the whole thing as a big picture. Jesus is based out of the northern Sea of Galilee. If you look at the maps and all the routes, it all comes back and circles around, goes back, big loop, but it all comes back there. You know what those routes are? Trade routes that have been going on since, early Roman times, early civilization. They're trade routes. Merchants go in and out of there for centuries. That's how things get passed around. And it's obvious to look at what's the food, how culture's food was influenced by early merchants. Did you know that Marco Polo introduced pasta to Italy? It's the traveling. That's what happens. And my goodness, if they're going to take back the spaghetti recipe, you don't think they're going to take back seeing this guy perform a miracle? The actions and the words. I think this is a very important lesson. I'm glad I didn't skip over it, because I actually got a lot out of this. Because this wasn't easy. I usually do my writing on Thursdays, and I didn't finish this till yesterday morning. And I had to call Don again. But something came to me, and I want you, as we wrap this lesson up, I want you to keep this one thing in mind. Concentrate on the answer, not the problem. Okay? She was answered. She dealt with the problem of Jesus saying, no, I can't. He was doing it to test her faith. That ever happened to y'all? Something happened, you look back, go, ooh, my faith was tested then. I don't think you'll know it at the time. I think if you think back, it could be. A lot of things will shake you. I would say being rejected by Jesus in that situation would have shooken me and a lot of people, but it didn't shake her. She had faith. Keep the faith. Keep it going. Argue with him. Jesus doesn't mind going back and forth with you. It's one way you can get it clear in your head. I've done it. During prayer, I don't understand. I don't understand. What is this? And through other people's words and praying, I think it hit me what it was. It's a lesson. It's a test. And he's not being nasty. So there's no reason to skip it. He's being Jesus. The fly in the ointment, the sword sent. He said himself, I'm going to sit here for peace. The only way we're going to change the world's conflict. But it doesn't have to be war. We just got to work together. And that's what he's trying to do here. Okay? I think it's a great lesson. And I do believe with all my heart that all of my personal conflicts and disasters and really stupid things were all okay because I never lost my faith. And Jesus forgave me for them. Okay? Always ask forgiveness. And always remember your faith is going to keep you healed. Amen.